transformed ordinary lives into extraordinary journey. Nikhil was born in a quiet corner of Udaipur, a city that glowed under the golden sun and glittered with the beauty of its lake. From the outside, it looked like a place where life moved at a slow, peaceful pace. But from inside walls of Nikhil's small town, two-room, air was heavy with worries about money, rent, and tomorrow's meal. His father, Ravi Sharma, worked at a textile shop, standing for hours behind the counter for a salary that barely kept the family afloat. His mother, Suman, snitched clothes for neighbors in exchange of small amounts of cash. From a young age, Nikhil noticed how every rupee in their household had a purpose before it has even arrived. School fees, grocery bills, electricity, it all ate away at his father's salary before the month even ended. Sometimes he saw his mother quietly returning from the market after bargaining over a few rupees for vegetables. He felt a pinch in his chest. He wanted to do something for them, but at the age of 12, what a boy could do. Yet, there was something unusual about Nikhil. He had the habit near sitting to the father's shop after the school, watching the customer, noticing how some walked in with the confidence and bought what they wanted, while others hesitated, looked at price, and quietly left. He noticed how the shop owner, Mr. Mehta, spoke differently to different customers. He smiled more when big buyers came in. He gave discount to some, refused to others. At first, it felt unfair, but slowly Nikhil understood this was business. He became curious about how money was made, not just earned. Earning, he realized, meant trading for a time for a fixed amount. Making money meant finding ways to multiply what you had. That thought never left his mind. At school, Nikhil wasn't the top student. His grades were average, but his teacher noticed he was unusually quick at solving the problems that needed logic rather than memorization. In group activities, he always found a way to make most of the little resources that they had. Once during a school fair, his class was given a tea stall to handle. When the other kids were just excited to eat, Nikhil suggested they should make a small combo packs and sell them at a slightly higher price than selling each them individually. To this classmate's surprise, the combo pack sold out first. That evening, as they counted the earning, his teacher smiled and said, "Nikhil, you have a mind for business." The words stayed with him. Life, however, was not kind enough to him to chase his dream freely. By the time Nikhil was in the college, his father's health began to decline. Long hours of standing and the stress of running the shop had taken a toll on him. The doctor advised rest, but rest means less work, and less work meant less money. Without saying anything, Nikhil began giving tuitions to school kids in the evening. The money wasn't much, but it helped to buy medicine for his father and pay for his younger sister's school books. During those years, he also became fascinated by the stories of Indian entrepreneurs. He read about people like Dhirubhai Ambani who started small and built empires. He didn't just admire their wealth, he admired their courage. They had dared to think beyond their family. But courage, Nikhil knew, wasn't just about dreaming, it was about acting when everything around you is practical and is to be safe. It was during the final year of the college that an unexpected opportunity arrived. One of the tuition students had a father who ran a small printing business. The man often complained about the slow business was because customer didn't know about the shop. Nikhil suggested almost casually, "Why don't you promote your shop on social media? Post pictures of your work, maybe even it may run." The man laughed. "Son, I don't even know how to use these things. Facebook is for family photos, not for business purpose." But Nikhil couldn't let the idea go. He offered to help for free. He borrowed his friend's camera tool and took a printer machine and took a photos of wedding cars, posters and etc. He also listed his shop on local business directory. Within 2 weeks, the shop received 3 new orders, not from the neighborhood but from a nearby city. The man was so surprised that he offered Nikhil a small payment for this help. You are better at this than most marketing people I have met, he said. That night, Nikhil couldn't sleep. He realized he had done something valuable. He had used his skills to solve someone's problem and got paid for it. And unlike giving tuitions, this work excited him. Slowly, he began to offering his promotional service to other small shops in his area, a bakery, a stationery store, or even a small boutique. At first, they were hesitated, but when they saw how his online post brought new customers, they start paying him. He didn't charge much, just enough to make his worth his time. But for the first time in his life, Nikhil was making money in a way that doesn't involve fixed hours and fixed salary. It was during the time that he faced one of the biggest decisions. A friend from college, Arun, approached him with an idea: start a small digital marketing agency together. They could work from home, have almost no investment, and target small businesses in their city. It sounded tempting, but Nikhil was scared. He had responsibilities: his father's health, his sister's education, the monthly household expense. Starting a business meant uncertainty. What if I failed? What if he lost the small income he was already making? One evening, he discussed it with his mother. She listened quietly and then said something he never forgot. Nikhil, if you are doing what feels safe, you never see how far you really go. Sometimes risk is not dangerous, it's necessary. Those words became the spark. The next week, Nikhil and Arjun registered their small business. They called it Next Step Solutions because for them it was not about just building an empire right away, it was about taking the next step forward. At first, things were exciting. They made a list of every small business in the city, printed flyers, and visited every shop's door to door. They promised affordable marketing services and focus on results. Some people listened, most didn't, but every yes that felt was a victory. Within the first 3 months, they had 5 regular customers. The earning wasn't huge, but it was than Nikhil could ever made before. They reinvested most of into buying better equipment, a decent laptop, a good quality camera, and basic software. But then came the reality check. One of the biggest clients, a chain of small restaurants, suddenly stopped working with them. The owner said his nephew had just finished a marketing course and would handle this thing for free. Losing that client meant losing 40% of their monthly revenue. For the first time, Nikhil felt the weight of uncertainty in the business. At night, he stared at the ceiling, wondering if he had made a mistake. He thought about quitting and going back to the stable job, but deep inside, there was a voice that reminded him to his mother's word: risk was necessary, and quitting now would mean going back at the same life that he wanted to escape. One evening, while walking through the market, Nikhil noticed something. There was a new trend of people ordering customized gifts like mugs, t-shirts, photo frames, especially during the family festivals. Most of the sellers operated online, but there was no one locally did well. That's when an idea struck him. What if they added a customized gift service to their business? They already had a contacts in printing design, and it could be an additional income stream. When he discussed it with Arun, his partner hesitated. We are already struggling with the clients. Starting something new could be risky, but Nikhil insisted. They tested the idea by posting a few sample products on social media. The response shocked them. Within a week, they received 20 orders of Raksha Bandhan gifts. The orders kept coming, and soon the customized gift service became a bigger source of income than their original marketing work. Nikhil realized something important. In business, flexibility was important as persistence. By the end of the first year, they weren't rich, but they were stable. Nikhil's family no longer worried about medicines or basic expenses. His sister could continue her studies without compromise, and for the first time, he was he saw pride in his father's eyes. when people in the neighborhood spoke Nikhil's company. But Nikhil wasn't satisfied. Deep down, he knew this was just a beginning. He had tasted the thrill of creating something from nothing and he wanted more. Then, one evening, a small email arrived from a businessman in Mumbai who had sent their customized gift designs online. He wanted to discuss a potential collaboration, something that could take Nikhil's small business into completely different level. Nikhil sat staring at the screen. He didn't know whether this was an opportunity or a trap, but something inside him told this could be a turning point. Nikhil stared at the email for a long time, the glow of the laptop screen reflecting in his tired eyes. The sender's name was Rohit Bansal, a businessman from Mumbai. He claimed to own a chain of premium lifestyle stores and wanted to explore selling customized gifts through them. Nikhil read the email again and again, his mind running wild. This could be a big break. He had been waiting for. A Mumbai wasn't just a city, it was the heartbeat of Indian's business world. If his products could sell there, it would open doors for any market he wanted to sell. But there was also fear of being cheated, fear of investing too much and losing it all, fear of disappointing his family. He called Arjun immediately. Are you serious? Arjun's voice came through the phone, sharp and disbelief. Nikhil, we are barely stable here. We can't just run to Mumbai because some guy sent you an email. I am not saying we run, Nikhil replied calmly. I just want to meet him, understand what he is offering. If it's genuine, it could change everything. After a long pause, Arjun signed. Fine, but we will go together and we will be careful about everything. 2 weeks later, they boarded a sleeper bus to Mumbai. Nikhil sat by the window watching the journey of highway bus. He remembered his father's words from when he said, Son, big cities can give you big dreams, but they also can eat you alive. Be smart. They arrived in the city at dawn. The chows hit them instantly. Hon- Honking cars, rushing crowds, and the smell of street food mixing with the salty air. Mumbai felt alive, but also intimidating. Rohit's office in Lower Parel, inside a glass that looked like something out of a movie. When they entered, they were greeted by a receptionist and then led to conference room. Rohit walked in a few minutes later, tall, well dressed, and with a warm smile that made him seem trustworthy. I've seen your customized gifts online, Rohit began. They are fresh, unique, and I believe they can sell well in my stores. But I want exclusivity. That means you won't sell these designs to anyone else in Mumbai. In return, I will give you a big order every month. It sounded perfect. Too perfect. Nikhil hesitated. But what about payments? We are small business. We can't wait months to get paid. Rohit leaned back in the chair. You will get 50% advance, the rest after the delivery. Arjun and Nikhil exchanged a glance. It seemed fair. They agreed to start with a trial order worth 3 lakh rupees. In Udaipur, the real work began. They had to produce 2000 customized items within 30 days, mugs, t-shirt and photo frames with special festival design. It was the biggest order they had ever received and it pushed them for small operation to its limits. They worked day and night, hiring temporary help, running between printers and suppliers, double checking every piece. Nikhil's mother started bringing them tea and snacks late at night, smiling quietly as she saw her son determination. His father, tough, still unwell, would sit nearby offering advice on managing workers and negotiating prices. When the delivery day arrived, they packed everything carefully and shipped it to Mumbai. Rohit's team confirmed receipt, and 2 weeks later, the remaining payment landed in their account. For the first time, Nikhil felt rush for the business of real success. The Mumbai deal not gave only them profit but also gave lots of profit. Soon, Rohit placed a second larger order. But success has a way of attracting challenges. One evening, Nikhil received a call from a client in Jaipur who said, I want to order those same t shirts I saw in Mumbai, but your prices are too high. There's another seller offering the same designs for less. Confused Nikhil asked for details. When he saw the photos, his stomach dropped. There were his exact designs copied and sold by someone else. He called Rohit in a panic. These designs are supposed to be exclusive. Rohit sounded annoyed. Nikhil, I can't control what happens in the market. Maybe someone else had the same idea. But Nikhil wasn't convinced. He suspected someone from Rohit's side had leaked the designs to cheaper suppliers. Still, with so much money tied up in ongoing orders, he couldn't afford to confront him directly. By the mid-year, Next Top Solution had doubled its revenue by cracks at starting to show. Arun felt that Nikhil was getting too emotionally attached to the Mumbai deal, ignoring their local clients. One night, their agreement boiled over. You think Rohit is your ticket to the big league? Arun said bitterly. But he is using us and he is done. He will throw us away. And what do you suggest? Nikhil shot back. Go back to earn 20,000 a month from a small shops. This is the chance to scale. What's your dream? Nikhil, not mine, Arun said quietly before walking out. 2 days later, Arjun sent a formal notice. He was leaving the company. He wanted his share of profits and assets. The breakup shattered Nikhil. They had started their journey together, shared sleepless nights, and celebrated small victories. Now he was all alone, facing bigger responsibilities than ever before. Determined not to let the company collapse, Nikhil threw himself into work. He expanded his network, attended trade fairs, and learned more about branding. But the loneliness waited on him. Business meetings were different without a partner to share the burden. Then came the blow he had feared. Rohit reduced his order, claiming slow sales. Within 2 months, the Mumbai deal was gone. Nikhil sat in his office, staring at unpaid bills of the idle workers. It felt like the ground had been pulled under him. His father noticed the change. The way he came to home late, skipped meals, and avoided conversation. One rainy night, as he walked back from the factory, he passed a group of street vendors selling umbrellas. Despite the heavy rain, they smiled, shouted price, and ran for potential buyers. It struck him. These people had almost nothing, yet they are relentless. At that moment, Nikhil decided he wouldn't give up. He would rebuild, even if it meant starting from scratch again. But fate wasn't done testing him. 2 weeks later, his father was hospitalized due to a sudden heart complication. Medical bills piled up, and Nikhil was forced to use whatever savings he had left. For the first time, he thought of shutting down the business crossed his mind. Just when it seemed like everything was collapsing, he received an unexpected phone call. It was from Ananya Kapoor, a well-known event planner in Delhi. She had seen his customized products at a wedding in Mumbai and wanted to discuss a bulk order for a series of high-profit events. It was an opportunity bigger than the Mumbai's deal, but it came at a time when Nikhil was emotionally and financially drained. Taking it would mean risking everything he had left. When Nikhil hung up the phone that night, his heart was pounding. Ananya was not just another event planner, she was a name that made newspaper, a person who worked with corporate giants and celebrities. If she wanted his products for her events, it could mean brand recognition across the country. But the reality was harsh. His bank account was running dangerously low. His father was still in the hospital, and the company's monthly expense were eating into whatever little reserves were left. Taking on a high profile order like this would require a fresh investment, new designs, premium materials, and more staffs. Still, something inspired him, whispered that opportunities like this don't come twice. The next morning, he visited his father at the hospital. His father was pale but awake, watching a cricket match on the TV, mounted on the TV. Nikhil, his father said without looking away from the screen, I can see something is bothering you. What is it? Nikhil hesitated. It's a big order from Delhi. If I do it right, it can change everything, but if I fail, it can be worse. His father finally looked at him, his eyes sharp despite at the weakness of his body. Son, when your mother and I started life together, we had nothing, not even enough money to give a proper wedding invitation to someone. But we took a leap. Some risks are worth taking. This sounds like one of them. Those words gave Nikhil the push he needed. 2 days later, he was on a train to Delhi. He couldn't afford a flight, but the long journey gave him time to think. He scribbled ideas in his notebook, unique designs, packaging concept, ways to make products not just gifts, but it should look like expensive gifts. When he finally met Ananya in a stylish office in South Delhi, she got straight to the point. I am planning a series of corporate events of a major tech company. I need 5,000 customized premium gift sets within 2 months. Quality must be flawless. If you deliver well, I will hire you for all the events I will manage. Nikhil's heart skipped a beat. The order was worth 12 lakh rupees, more than any deal he had ever received. But Ananya had one condition. I can give you 30% advance, the rest will be after delivery, and I need see samples within 10 days. It was a tight deadline, but Nikhil shook her hand, considered it done. Back in Udaipur, the next few days become a blur of activity. Nikhil visited suppliers, negotiated bulk rates, and hired skilled workers on short-term contracts. He wanted every detail, from the product quality to the packaging, to scream premium. But just as things were moving smoothly, problems began. One of his key suppliers backed out of the last minute, claiming they had a bigger order from another client. This forced Nikhil to source material from Jaipur at higher cost. The delivery of these materials was delayed due to heavy rains, cutting into his already tight time. To make matter worse, his father's condition get more worse, and the doctor recommended a minor surgery. Nikhil found himself slitting between hospital to factory, factory to hospital, barely sleeping, running on endless cups of teas. There were moments when he thought about calling Ananya and backing out, but each time he remembered his father's word, and he took a quiet pride on his mother's face whenever she saw working him late. 10 days later, he boarded to the tel- 10 days later, he boarded another train to Delhi with the samples packed neatly in a large suitcase. When Ananya saw them, she smiled, a rare smile that felt like approval. Ananya said, these are good, Nikhil. Very good. Produced me with the full order. Her words were like a fuel to a tired soul. The next 6 weeks became the most intense period of his life. He managed workers, dealt with late deliveries, fixed printing errors, and handled endless phone calls from Ananya's team about changing the design. There were nights when he slept on the factory floor using a pile of bumble wrap as a pillow. His clothes smelled of ink and cardboard. His hands were rough from handling packaging materials, and his eyes were blurred from staring at the designs of screens for hours. But slowly, piece by piece, the order came together. 1 week before the deadline, disaster struck. A batch of 500 gift boxes was damaged during transport from the printing until to the factory. The boxes were bent. The prints was very much bad. It wasn't just about the money. Replacing them meant pushing the workers beyond their limits, risking mistakes due to exhaustion. That night, Nikhil locked himself in the office and stared at the damaged boxes. He felt a lump in his throat, the weight of weeks of works threatening to crush him. For the first time in years, he cried silently in the dim light of desk lamp. Then he wiped his face, took a deep breath, and called the team back to the work. We are going to redo them. No compromises in the quality. Let's go. Nikhil's words were very much powerful to the workers. On the delivery day, the factory was buzzing with controlled chaos. Workers sealed boxes, labeled packages, and loaded them into trucks. Nikhil personally inspected every set. When the last truck left, he finally allowed himself to smile. 2 days later, Ananya called Nikhil. The client loved the gifts. They said it's the best they have ever received in the years. I think we will be working together for a long time. The relief in his chest was almost physical. He paid his workers, cleared all debts, and even managed to buy his father a comfortable reclining chair for the hospital. The Delhi project brought him more orders. Slowly, his company name began appearing in the industry conversation. But with growth came new challenges. Bigger clients meant stricter contracts, more paperwork, and higher expectation. One evening, while checking emails, Nikhil received an invitation to speak at a business networking event in Bangalore. It was the kind of explore that could even open the national level doors. He decided to attend, unaware that trip would lead him to the most difficult decision of his life. At the event, he met investors, suppliers, and fellow entrepreneurs. Among them was a man named Kalan Malhotra, who ranged a large e-commerce platform. Karan was impressed by Nikhil's journey and made an offer to buy 60% of his company for 1.5 crores. With Nikhil staying as a CEO, it was tempting. The money could secure his family's future, expand operations, and take the brand to the global. But it would also mean losing a majority control over the company he had built from scratch. For days, Nikhil couldn't sleep. His mother advised caution, his father said to think long term, and his own heart was torn between ambition and attachment. Finally, Karan gave him a deadline of 1 week to decide. On the seventh day, Nikhil walked into the current office in Bangalore. I have made my decision, he began. The silence in Karan Malhotra office was thick. Outside the glass walls, the Bangalore skyline shimmered in the afternoon sun, but inside, time felt frozen. Karan leaned back in his leather chair, his eyes fixed on Nikhil. So, what it will be? Nikhil took a deep breath, his fingers tightened around the file in his hand. For days, he had gone over every possible outcome. He had imagined what life would be like if I have 1.5 crore on the bank, the debts he would clear, the new machine he could buy, the comfort he could finally give to his parents. But each time he pictured it, there was a small but sharp sitting in his chest. The thought of someone else having a power to steer his company's future. He thought of that night he had sat on the factory floor, exhausted but determined. He thought of his mother's quiet prayers and his father's unwavering advice. He thought of people who had worked beside him when the company was nothing more than a dusty storeroom and a dream. Finally, he looked up in a Karan's eye. I can't sell the majority of the company. Not now. Not when we have just started proving what we can do. I will find a way to grow without giving you up control. Karan didn't look surprised. He gave a small smile. I respect that. Most people would have taken the money, but I have a feeling you will back here one day. Not for an offer, but for a partnership. When Nikhil left the office, he felt both terrified and free. terrified because he had just turned down the kind of money that most people only dream of. Free because he had chosen his own path, regardless of the risk. Back to Udaipur, life returned to his demanding rhythm. The company's orders were increasing, and the small team was now the group of 25 employees. Nikhil focused on improving operation, building the better supplier relationship, and strengthening the brand's identity. Every week, he visited his father, who was slowly recovering. They would sit in the garden, sipping tea, while Nikhil shared updates about the new clients. His father's health might not have been what it was once before, but his eyes still lit up and with pride each time when he heard about the company's progress. One morning, Nikhil received an unexpected email. It was from the tech company from whom Ananya Kapoor had ordered the gift month ago. They wanted to make them exclusive gifting they wanted to make him their exclusive gifting partner for all the corporate events of India. For the next 2 years, the deal was massive, enough to fund a full scale expansion. But the work would be intense. He would need a major big space, more workers, faster production, and tighter quality control. It was the kind of the project that could either solidify this company reputation forever or bury it under the weight of unrealistic expectation. He accepted without hesitation. The next 6 months were became a test of everything Nikhil had learned over the years. He invested in new machinery, trained his workers to handle larger orders. He implemented a strict quality check system. He spent nights studying supply chain strategy and morning meeting with logistic companies. There were delays, disagreements, and even a few lost clients due to unavoidable mistakes. But every obstacle only pushed him harder. By the end of the contract's first year, the company's name was recognized in major business circles. Nikhil was invited to speak at entrepreneurship seminars where he shared his journey in simple words, always emphasizing hard work, resilience, and the most important, staying true to one's vision. People would often come up to take the advice, young students, struggling shopkeepers, small town dreamers, and how to tell him how his story gave them hope. Each time Nikhil would smile and say, if a boy from Udaipur with no money and no connections can build something like this, so you can also do that. Just don't give up when it's hard. That matters the most. Years later, his company had grown into a national brand. They had offices in Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore, but Nikhil still kept the Udaipur branch as the heart of business. It reminded him of where it all began, the dusty storeroom, the sleepless night, the quiet prayers. One evening, the company's 10th anniversary, Nikhil stood on the stage and celebration event. His parents were in front row. His employees was very much happy. The lights were warm, the applause were loud, but for a moment all he heard was his own voice in his head from years ago. One day I will make something of myself. He looked at his team, his family, and the many clients as well and well wishers who had gathered. Then he said, success is not built in a day, it is built in the nights you don't sleep, the morning you want to quit but you don't, and the moments you choose integrity over easy gains. I started this journey with nothing but hope and willingness to work harder than my fears. Today, we are here not because I am not extraordinary, but because we refuse to stop. The crowd rose to their feet. That night, when the lights went out and the guests left, Nikhil walked along through the quiet factory floor. He ran his fingers covering over all the polished packaging tables, the machine humming softly in the background. In the stillness, he realized his journey from an ordinary young man in Udaipur to the founder of the respected brand had never been about money alone. It was about providing to himself and the world that dreams he guarded fiercely and worked on restlessly could indeed transform ordinary lives into extraordinary journey, and he smiled knowing his story has been written.